Hello. Welcome to the MALIBU Music Room. I'm John Zambetti. I put together this series because I wanted to expose you to some of the amazing talented musicians that are coming out of Malibu right now. I feel very much like Malibu is what Liverpool was in the early 60s. Bands are developing here, each with their own unique voice, and then breaking on the national and sometimes even international level. I've been in a unique position because our son Johnny is one of those musicians. And since we have a large music room, his friends tend to come over here to rehearse or maybe just jam after a show. Malibu is a unique moment in time right now musically, and I wanted to archive it as well as expose it to those of you who don't know what's happening right in your own backyard. So come on in, sit down, and welcome to the Malibu Music Room. I wonder who that could be. Why, it's Cisco! Come on, bro! Zambetti. Welcome to the Malibu Music Room.
Happy to be here.
Come on. Cisco, welcome to the Malibu Music Room, bro.
Thank you, very honored to be here. Thank you.
I'm honored. I've really been wanting to have you on here for a long time.
I love that. I didn't even know.
Because to me, you're kind of the Gazzari, the Godfather.
That's amazing.
Is
that good? That's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
Okay,
You're the Godfather, kind of the resurgence of Malibu music.
I love that.
One of the reasons, the reason really we're having this show is because there just seems to be a whole resurgence or a eruption of young Malibu musicians and talent.
I love that you're recognizing that.
And I kind of, at the time really also equated the Malibu Inn almost to like the Cavern in Liverpool.
Oh, it was special, man. It was really special. I'm glad it's back, even in its whatever state it's in right now.
Yeah.
It's still always going to be the Malibu Inn. The
Right.
sign is still up.
Right.
As long as there's a great act in there, I think people will come and have a great time, right?
Yeah.
So call it what you want to call it.
But the thing is, it really is like a kind of a breeding ground, whatever you want to call it, because people can play original music there. That was the thing about the Malibu Inn, where every place else, everywhere, almost in the country, you have to pay to play, and it's hard for bands to really develop new material.
Yeah, every music community that is known of had a center or a sort of nucleus that was a venue.
Yeah.
And people don't usually think of Malibu as a music community, strangely.
Yeah.
Even though it's like every musician and their mother, literally.
But they really don't think of it as a new music. It's like a place.
Well, maybe that's what it is.
It's a place people come to
you get
after
successful,
they've made it.
you come here.
Yeah.
It's like Florida for old rock stars, right?
Right.
But no, really, that's just sort of like. That just means when you're walking around, you're walking amongst a lot of legends, and hopefully it inspires these young kids.
Yeah. Well, you've really been kind of at the root of all the formative bands of Malibu. Starting with, where you kind of came in on Backbone.
Yeah.
Did you know Chris Williams? Or
of course, knew Chris well. And my, White Star originally was me and Asher. And then Backbone backed us, literally, when we would play live.
Okay.
So at that point, we were, I was a sort of a hip-hop producer that found my way to rock, and I started making these records that were sounding sort of more rock, influenced. And then, obviously, those guys were my, best friends at the time. So we were just like, let's play live. And it sort of turned into this, it was wild. And how it ended up with, Chris, obviously, horribly passing away, and us just fusing into this new band, right? So it's like the band itself had like Malibu generations in it.
Well, yeah, because you had Dwayne Betts and Orby.
Yeah, we had names in that band that we could never outshine.
Well, that was like a double-edged sword, I guess, for you.
Yeah, it always was. Now looking back, it's only fond, and it's like, I can see how it was tough, but But to me, it's just, it was just dudes. It's unfortunate that it had to be taken that way.
Yeah, because the music really wasn't Roy Orbison music or Allman Brothers music,
And a kid of someone is never going to play the same exact music. They're going to most likely rebel.
Well, not only that, Orby's a drummer.
That's
Roy
true.
was a singer and a guitar player.
Because he probably was hanging around the sessions and was watching the drummer for some reason.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's funny. It's always been a topic of discussion with that band, which
Yeah.
you know that's what that band was and should always be. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, with White Star, I saw a lot of White Star shows, obviously, and you know, not blowing smoke, but I've told this to you before. I thought you were one of the best live frontmen I've ever seen. I mean, and I've gone to a lot of concerts.
You heard it here.
I'm an old man.
Gentlemen, I take that as a compliment because you have seen a lot.
Because you know, to me, you had the kind of the Roger Daltrey energy, but you also had the acrobatics, which I still can't get over. I mean, I was there the night in the Malibu Inn when you broke your foot.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I think about that now, and it's crazy. I could still probably do a good backflip off some drums. Forby was in the drum set. I'll do a backflip off of him.
But did you do something off the rafters, or what did you do?
I was all over. You know what it was? It was like, for that time on stage, I was there to entertain and go, and whether it, hurt me or maimed me or sent me to another like transcendental state. I don't know. I just go.
Well, that to me is what the essence of the front man is. That's why I'm saying that, because it's like someone who doesn't. I mean, he's like
gives it all.
Gives it all.
Yeah, we're up there. We're the ringleader.
It's like you care so much you don't care.
Yeah.
You know that you're just ready to roll with whatever.
It's funny because I think I was always a front man that needed a band, even in like kindergarten. Do you know what I mean? I was searching for that energy. It's funny, and then when you find it, or maybe not front man, but entertainer, when you find it on stage, and you're like, oh God, this is what it was.
Yeah.
This was the joke in high school that I made that made people laugh and made me feel good. This is like, it's like this weird selfish desire, but also selfless.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like you care so much you don't care.
Yeah, it's wild.
But White Star really got to a point where it was a really cohesive band. I mean, it was like, again, these things sound crazy whenever you do comparisons, but you kind of have to put a perspective for people who haven't heard it before. It was kind of the next Rolling Stones.
I love that.
It was a combination of the Rolling Stones and the Who.
It's wild. We were the biggest band that never made it.
Yeah.
I always say that.
Yeah.
And it's funny. We were a band for 7 or 8 years in different incarnations. We had horns one time. We had. But by Tony Potato through the whole time.
Yeah.
But that was one thing that was like, if you're gonna pick the wrong things to talk about, we're gonna give you something really wrong to talk about. Right. But the band, by the end, we really did figure it out, and we figured out our influences, and we figured out how to process them. And I think for me, as a producer now, that whole process of figuring out that interesting, weird project over its course sort of led me to know what I do now, I think.
Yeah, and like I say, you guys really had it down in terms of live performance. But you were also one of the first people, I think, that in terms of my recognition, that recognized the changing business model of the music business and realized you had to start selling it on television.
Online, too.
Online, yeah.
I mean, we were one of the first bands on MySpace. YouTube, I look at my YouTube account, and it's from back then.
Right.
And it was like the dawn of it. And it's funny, because every project I've done, I consider them all one big project.
Yeah.
Of me, right? My whole life, right? Mm-hmm. So I can't imagine them not all being there in exactly the same way they've been.
Right.
And one morphed into the other, which then this became that became this. It's so wild. It's really fluid to me.
But tell me a little bit about, the impact of television. I mean, somehow you recognized that and got White Star with the VH1 show, The Rock Life.
Yeah.
And that became a whole nother venue.
It's hilarious.
For music, vehicle for people hearing your music.
Yeah, it's funny because because of the names in the band, people had always thrown the reality show thing around, right? It was also the dawn of the reality show.
Right.
Especially around here, where a lot of the big ones came from. Yeah. So they threw that at us, and we were just very careful, but you could not deny that this band we felt was great, and we also felt we were like a cast of funny characters. Mm-hmm. If people can see this, maybe it'll break the bands. That show was interesting, and I think White Star was meant to do exactly what it did, right? And it's like beautiful in that. But then learning from that reality show experience when we did the one with Swayze,
Yeah.
we knew what not to do.
Yeah.
We had the music and the album to back it up and set it up, and it really was a massive game changer.
Yeah.
In one night.
Yeah.
In one
No, I remember
night.
hearing about that with Swayze,
Yeah.
where you guys were on Warped Tour,
Yeah.
and one day you're on whatever stage 6,
Yeah.
and the next day you're on stage with Katy Perry
It was
at stage 1.
and like running from kids. It was
Yeah.
it was instant. TV's still super powerful. It's going to change in its own way. We'll see how that. But I think the medium of television is just like, I mean, it's huge. It was crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, you had the vision to actually see that and to get that, and not only to see it, but to execute it. That's the thing about trying to execute it. I mean, lots
Yeah.
of people have ideas.
Yes.
But executing is a whole nother
There's
level.
doers and there's don'ts. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I just like to like do it. I saw an opportunity.
Well, it's amazing you could get VH1 to do that.
Yeah, twice.
Yeah.
After the first one was so interesting. Yeah, you know, I think.
But then even that you took to the next level.
Yeah.
Because, you know, talking with Johnny, he was like you not only were doing the Warped Tour, go to the state, but then suddenly you also figured out how to monetize that by DJing.
Yes.
After the shows, you get
Yes.
picked up and go somewhere to
I
DJ.
was definitely early on that DJ tip too.
Exactly.
That's so funny. But
But
you know
what
what?
made you think that seems like such an? I mean, again, I'm coming from a place, you know, where I was playing in the '60s
Yeah.
and '70s,
Yeah.
and we could still sell records.
Yeah.
But you know, we would never think about like after a show. Of
Yeah.
course, we would want to go to a club.
Yeah.
But we'd never think of having the chutzpah of telling somebody, you know,
Come here
whatever,
too.
give me 10 grand and I'll come, or whatever the number is.
You know
I'll
what, it
come-
was a
I'll come
combination.
and pick you up in a limo.
It was an accident. I
I'll
didn't
give
sit
you-
there in a room and devise this weirdness. Like, it was definitely like I saw the walls crumbling. I saw opportunities. I saw that. I think I just always liked to. Again, it was another way to make people move. And for the Swayze project, we would have him come in and do 2 songs during my DJ set, and it was a way to take that music and get it into the clubs. You know what I mean? So everything was this like Trojan horse, like for the next thing.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, as musicians now, you got to be a marketing department. You got to be a complete, 24-hour entrepreneur and
Yeah.
identify different revenue.
Yeah. Well, that's what's so different about you, really, is being not only a producer and writer, musician, but also you're an entrepreneur too, and
Yeah.
that is a very rare combination because most musicians want to have someone else to do everything,
Yeah, it's
and they'll gladly give a percentage of it away, but then there's no control over what's going on.
It's changing, and the new breed are extremely entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
And these young kids that came up in this, you know what I mean? They're even better at it.
Yeah.
They are amazing marketing machines. They're figuring out how to sell limited edition T-shirts to a small handful of people. Right? At some point, I looked at it and I said, "We have this many people, but why concentrate all the time on this many people that you don't have? Figure out how to like activate the people you do have and get them, on board, because they're the ones who are going to take you to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
It's not you. You can like shout as much as you want, but until someone
Yeah.
says, 'This is great. I like this. You should listen to this, or you should check this out.' That's when it translates."
But getting back to the to the Swayze Warped Tour DJ thing, I mean, where did you get that idea from? Because I mean, you literally one day you're on stage.
Tommy
6
Lee. Tommy Lee was the first one.
Really?
Tommy Lee's a homie, and he was doing DJ gigs. And it was he was probably one of the first celebrity DJs. Celebrity DJs that was like
Right.
known for something else, but now found themselves in the DJ world.
Yeah.
Right? And so his agent was a friend and said, "Let me try to book you some DJ gigs. I think we can do the same thing." There was all sorts of weird going on as
Right.
well. So, and it started to work. And it's funny, when the Swayze project started to pop off, we had all the big agencies who wanted to book us, but we ended up staying with this small boutique agency that
Right.
had booked me in the DJ world and in the clubs and was really dialed into the clubs and colleges. And I think it really helped us permeate, those sort of like entry points.
But you were able to pull it off right away while you're still on the Warped Tour.
Yeah.
That to me is like, how did you realize
I was just
that there would be actual interest in someone wanting you in the club.
You know what? There
Right.
was also there were
Yeah.
ulterior motives of those bookers and people, and the reasons they
Yeah,
want
right,
you
right,
in the
right.
club, right?
Right.
And it's like if you're larger than life and your lifestyle is what you're selling. This is why I usually only work with lifestyle acts.
Yeah.
Then people are going to want to come and hang out, and and be a part of the lifestyle, right? So that's what I know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, go with what you know, and I know how to throw a party, right? White Star started before White Star. I was a club promoter, and I had a list of all these like hundreds of girls and hundreds of like party going dudes who like to go out and spend money where the girls were, and we had this list because we were throwing clubs, you know. And then when it came to when White Star was sort of happening, the first show I just promoted it like a club as the place to be, right? So right there was a difference in like promoting even how the band was promoted. It was like you have to be there, like that's where dudes want to go. The girls want to go to see the band. The dudes want to go to see the girls. It's pretty simple. I don't know. It's all mathematics.
Well, but still, it's getting people to want to be part of your fabulous lifestyle.
Yes,
I mean that's
yes.
it's bringing the reality show.
Yes.
Making
And
you
part of
part
me
of it.
feels like I'm just blessed and I live this weird, wild life. And I also just want everyone to be able to live it with me. You know what I mean? So it's not just me wanting to try to commoditize it. And it's more like I think that a lot of people might want to come on this like train and have some fun.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the next step, of course, was Swayze.
Yes.
And I remember you, because again, you know, you really were like the first 360 guy. I mean, you were doing everything. You were producing the band, basically booking the band.
Yeah.
Making,
I didn't book it. I didn't book it, but no, it was definitely a hybrid.
But you were making sure everything
situation.
worked. You were really managing it. Maybe you weren't booking.
Yeah, there was
you were
like
kind of like really managing the day to day.
Yeah.
To make sure everybody, you know, got
I
paid,
mean,
that everything happened. That you know.
Just that's just what I do, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't spoken of. It was just.
Right, but you had kind of 360 control over the whole thing that was going on. Because I remember at one point you telling me that your this is a story I remember, maybe I don't have it correct.
Yeah.
But your father had said to you something about Cheech and Chong was the greatest thing I ever did. 2 guys in a suitcase.
Yes. Oh, I did know that, and we did like sort of subscribe to that, which was 2 guys and a microphone.
Yeah, so
Right.
that's what I'm saying. The
Yeah.
transition from White Star to Swayze was the 2 guys in a suitcase.
Man,
except it was a laptop, not a suitcase.
Well, it was from 9 dudes, right? Figuring out how to get 9 dudes to a gig that no one wanted to see. Or taking 2 dudes to a gig where it's packed with thousands of people already ready to have
Right.
a party and ready to do it, right? And when it came down to me going, there was a point where it was like, do I do this or do I do this? It was just straight. One is easy, and one is pushing a rock up a hill.
Right.
And I felt like White Star we were playing old school music. We were playing music that the Rolling Stones had done better.
Right.
Is what I felt at one point.
Mick never did a backflip though.
That's true. But I wanted to make music that in like 30 years, kids are like, that was my Rolling Stones.